Hello, little children. This is Mr. Moorhead coming to you live Sunday night from Moorhead Studios in Garner, North Carolina. So I do these a day ahead of time. So at any rate, I hope you guys have had a great weekend. Last week we left off with the Medici, and everything seems to be going well. We have Cosimo and Giovanni are running the bank. We have Brunelleschi building the dome. Florence is happy. Everybody is happy. Except history very rarely ever ends that cleanly and that neatly. There's going to be something tragic that happens. Now, we have Giovanni. He is getting older. And at this point in history, Giovanni's gotten old enough that he's kind of turned the bank over to Cosimo. There is another son involved. He's a little bit younger. However, Cosimo is the main player at the bank now. Dad still has a lot of influence. Dad is the founder of the bank. Dad knows the business inside and out. We're going to have Giovanni die. And when Giovanni dies, this is devastating to Cosimo. Now, I was in my 30s when my dad died, and it was very difficult on me. And I knew it was going to happen. He'd been sick. I was probably not too much older than you guys when my mom passed away. And it's a lot to deal with. It is so much to deal with. But in this case, Cosimo may have had it even more difficult than anyone else because he's losing his dad and there's so much emotion to that. But he's also lost his business partner in so many ways, his mentor. This is the guy that started the business. This is the guy that knows the ins and outs, that even though Cosimo was running the business at the time, he would still say, "Hey, Dad, what do I do?" And Dad could provide that advice to him. Now, one thing that you will learn in history, and you might have already seen this in your life, people who do not like you, they don't attack you when you're your strongest, okay? When you've hit the game-winning home run, when you have on your newest outfit and your makeup and hair looks perfect, nobody's going to say anything to you. They wait for you to have that rough stretch. Maybe it's the game that you struck out, 3 times in a row. Or maybe your parents had a fight the night before and you had a pretty rough night and you're just barely at school that day. That's when people who don't like you will attack. They're not going to do it when you're their strongest. And guys, even though that's 700 years ago, life still worked the same way. The Medici's know, the Medici's rivals know that the family is hurt now. They've lost their dad. They've lost this business partner, and that's when they strike. We're going to have another family, the Albizzi family. This is actually the most important family up until the Medici in Florence. The Albizzi are going to start a rumor about Cosimo. That, you got to remember, Giovanni started almost peasant-like. And they've built themselves up. The Albizzi hated them. And they told the Florentine council, that's Florence's council, town council, that, hey, we think Cosimo is becoming too powerful. And they begin to spread this rumor. And Cosimo does something that makes him look even worse. A lot of people got to where they hated Cosimo. It's like, oh, he's too powerful, he's too strong, he's too wealthy, he's too this, he's too that. And people are saying negative things to him, just passing on the street. People are bothering him. And at one point he thinks that it's not safe enough for his family to be there. So he actually moves his wife to another city-state. And the Albizzis pointed to that and they say, if he really loved Florence, would his family be living somewhere else? Another thing that the Albizzis pointed out is Cosimo was opening banks in other city-states. So if you say a lie enough, people will believe it. All right. If you repeat something that's false enough, people begin to believe it. And eventually the town council was scared. They thought Cosimo may actually try to take over. And they're going to send for Cosimo. They're going to have him arrested. They will have him put in prison. And Cosimo uses what he knows best. He understands money. And he tells his jailers and he tells the people on the council that will listen, hey, I'm no good till you're dead. And eventually they let him go. Now, originally it was thought they may kill him. So there's a chance he is going to die, and he is able to use his money to buy his freedom. And sure enough, he moves to this other city-state with his family. And when he does, he takes the business with him. And when he does, he stops sponsoring Brunelleschi and paying for some of these supplies that Brunelleschi needs, and the dome stops being built. And within just a year, we have Florence collapsing. Now, guys, this has been done every time it's ever been tried in history. I can never, ever think of a counter example. My family came and fled from a country where this happened. Once, like, business owners are like ran off or killed or executed, or their businesses are taken, most likely, and again, I've never found a counterexample, the Soviet Union, Cuba, you can see Eastern Europe, there's several parts of Africa where this has happened, everybody suffers. And in this case, it's the exact same thing that happens in Florence. This family leaves, they take their business with them, and now there is nobody to borrow money from. So all construction stops. People buying homes stop. People building businesses where they would normally borrow money from a bank, there's no bank there. So within actually less than a year, the town council sends for Cosimo and says, Cosimo, do you remember us? We were gonna kill you. Please come back, please. And Cosimo says, I will, but he kind of gives him a condition. He says, if I come back, you can accuse me of taking over. I want to rule the city. If I come back, I'm going to have a bigger say. And essentially, he's like the unofficial ruler, the ruler behind the scenes. Now, he didn't have total power, but he had a lot. He was almost like a king at this point. When he gets back, he continues building the dome. Even in the town that he had moved to, he built them a library. He paid for it. So he continues to have all of these things built. In particular, they finish the dome, and Florence is very, very proud of it. Now, he will continue to do something, and I'm going to tell you about that tomorrow, because this is where history really changes, and it goes all the way to the Medici. All right, guys, so you found out what was happening in that story and the little turn that it took. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll pick up the rest tomorrow.